Hello, followers of Christ. I hope that you're having a good day. I just finished reading Proverbs. It was a very good read at the end. I read chapters 24 through 31. And there was a verse that stood out to me, Proverbs 27:17. And it's talking about how we sharpen each other like an iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another. And it stood out to me because well, there's several reasons why. All week, God has been showing me different things in regards to your position or who you are in the groups that you walk in, right? Your circle of friends, the people you have around you every day, the people you have around you whenever you're going through things. And it started out on Sunday. Due to the storms and everything, all the cold weather, wasn't able to go to church. So we watched a recorded series, Sarah Jakes, on YouTube, and it was one of the Walk It Out Wednesdays. And she was discussing several things, but what stood out to me is she was talking about your environment and how sometimes you have to change your environment in order to get closer to God. And she broke it down to where she wasn't just talking about your location, but she was also talking about your mental state or your financial state, like different areas. And she even went as far as to say that, you know, sometimes it may not be your environment that needs to change, but it may be something in you that needs to change. And she proceeds on and she starts talking about how you where do you fit in your environment, as far as, like, the group of friends. How do you benefit that group of friends? How do they benefit you? Like, is it a give take relationship? So that was very powerful. I really enjoyed that service. You should go watch it. And then I ended up having a conversation with my friend earlier today, talking about how friendships, not necessarily playing your role, but understand what role you play in your friendship. And we were going on about the difference between a person being a messenger versus a listener. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, what role do you play? And it all, the root of that conversation was about, when you are a friend to someone, it should be a give take relationship, not a one way relationship. So when your friend or loved one reaches out to you, you encourage them whenever they're going through something, and vice versa. They should be able to encourage you whenever they are going through their ideas or theories and goals. You're supposed to be able to bounce ideas off each other and kind of encourage each other to go for it or to be cautious of it, whichever one applies. And so, in talking to her about that, when I started reading that scripture, that's what made that scripture stick out to me. Because not only did I talk to her about that, but I also talked to another friend slash coworker, and we were talking about how the atmosphere, trying to get our work atmosphere back to that place to where we work as a team and not individually. So it all is the root of working together. And so I'm like, Lord, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to tell me? So I got quiet, started praying, started listening. And one of the things he made very clear to me is that, God put us on earth. And, it's important to have a village, right? Not saying that everyone has a person for them, but everyone should be a part of a village. Even if it's a follower of Christ, you are a part of a village. You have other Christ-like Christian friends, family members, church members, whom you're part of. And so he showed me something, y'all. And what he showed me was there are times when you go through life and you have to go through something by yourself. But in the midst of that, when you come out of it, your village is there to celebrate you, to help you feel loved, to feel warm, to encourage you, to sharpen you, to reward you for what you came out of. So I'm not saying you're supposed to always be around people at all times, because there are things you're going to go through alone. But when you come out of it, your village is there to root you on, to congratulate you, to encourage you, to show you how proud they are of you for coming through the thing that you just went through. So, yes, there are going to be times when you need your village to lean on your village. Your village is going to have to carry you through some things, but there are times where your village is used to actually sharpen you, to keep you, to let you know you're headed in the right direction. And I never looked at it that way before. I've always said I have a strong village here. I moved here, and years ago when I first started, when we first started our family, and I was so terrified because I was moving away from my sisters, my mom, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents, everybody that helped raise me and love on me and show me what love and family looked like. I moved my family away from, not because of family, but because I was trying to put us in a better area in order to raise my family. But I was terrified because I was like, is it better to be in an area that's better as far as like better education, better jobs, or is it better to be close to your village? Is it better to go through the roughness and the school system and fight all of that, knowing that you have a village to help you get through? Because that's what helped me get through school and get through life as a child growing up, is because I was part of a really strong village. So when I moved here and I made that decision with my husband to move here, I was terrified that I was losing my village and I wouldn't be able to do this. But then let me show you how God worked. He created me another village. He put me in a position to where I was able to connect with friends that felt like family. Anything that I felt like I could have been missing or I couldn't get to quick enough because I stayed, so far away from family, he put someone in that position so that I wouldn't have to go through it alone. I mean, the amount of love that I've gotten since I've moved here, and I've been here for over 2 decades, but the love that I've gotten from people, and I've been in and out of season with several different people. It is a testament to how God can place you in a different environment and still allow you to have that same love and that same level of support that you thought you wouldn't have. Now, in the beginning, I wasn't paying attention. I was young, for one, and I kept saying I was doing everything alone. I was going through this by myself. I'm doing this by myself. And then finally, when I started really saying I wanted to have a closer relationship with God, and I started reading His Word and started recognizing His voice and recognizing how He connects with me and communicates with me. First thing He said, stop saying you're alone. I want you to think back over all these years that you've been here. Who's helped you? When you had jobs where you had to be at work before the daycare is open, did I not give you a babysitter that you can trust? When you had to stay at work late because, the position that you in required you to be there because someone called in, did I not send your kids somewhere where they could eat and be safe and do their homework and just be kids and not worry about where mom is? Whenever you were off work and you had to be home, did I not put people in your life to allow you to work and do other jobs on the side to keep the income coming in because you worked a seasonal job? And then, like I said, it was just so much. Even my church family, like there were times when they would step in and help me because I was like, well, my kids want this and this. And I had just given up. I said, well, y'all not going to have a good Christmas, or you're not going to have a this, or you're not going to have that. And it was kind of weird because they would bring up the question. I'm an honest, transparent person. I wasn't complaining. I was just telling them the facts of what it is. And they was like, oh, no. no, we're not doing that. And they just stepped right on in and they made sure my kids had Christmas. They made sure that we were able to feel comfortable coming to church, and things like that. So he put me in a village, but I did not understand the importance of the village until I just read this scripture, because that's what helped sharpen me. That's what helped make me strong. That's what helped get me to my next level of elevation that he needed me to be at in order for me to be able to get to where he needs me to be. So here I am today, and I'm having this conversation with friends, co-workers, listening to it in different, just different avenues. And that's another thing that I love that God does, is when there's confirmation, it can come from different platforms. I have this joke about algorithms. You know how Google, when you search so many things, it kind of picks up an algorithm on what you're interested in. And so God has an algorithm. Like, you'll hear the same message but it comes from different avenues. Like, you may get one from social media, then you go to church and you get it from church, and then you driving down the car and you hear that same message on the radio, and it's like, oh, that's the algorithm working in your favor. God has altered your listening, and he's altered your direction for you to pick up on those things that he's confirming in your life. And this is one of those days where he's done that, where now I understand it is okay for you to go through things. You are going to go through things by yourself. Okay? Going through things by yourself helps mold you, helps shape you, helps you to become who God created you to be. But don't get in the habit. Don't be like me and say, I don't need anybody. I only need to be by myself. Don't get in that mind state, because there's going to come a time when it's going to be you and a plus one, maybe. And that plus one can be your motivation. You're sharpening each other. You're encouraging each other. You both are working. You're an anchor for one another to help climb to that next step. One pull up the other. A theory came to mind when I was reading it, and I was thinking about the storms. We're going through the ice storms, and God has blessed us to be able to keep lights on. And I've been communicating with other people, asking them on, are y'all okay? Is everything good? And so far in my group, in my village, no one has been without lights. Now, we've all been stuck at the house. We've even had some emergencies. But a few years ago, about 5-6 years ago, when we had ice storm, nobody had lights for days. And this year, we're stuck at the house and, we can't move around, but we had lights. That's a blessing. But in the midst of the storm, sometimes I'm seeing how God is allowing us to be paired up to the point to where we can be each other's barricade. We can create a barricade. If you're in the midst of a tornado or a windy storm, one person, it's going to be hard for you to hold on. You can do it. You have the ability to do it. God will give you the strength to do it. But when it's two of you and you hold on to each other, it's a lot harder for that wind to move two of you than it is one of you. And so you're helping each other, you're anchoring each other, you're grounded. And then when you come out of it, when the storm has ceased and you stand up, you can celebrate each other. You can celebrate what you came through together. And then when you make it back home to your family, if you have family to go home to, friends to go home to, then you can celebrate being able to see them another day. You get that praise, that reward. So, I know it is hard sometimes for some people to be able to connect with others, and it's challenging. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not even trying to sit up here and tell you to force yourself into something. But if God is putting you in a position to connect with other people and it's making you uncomfortable, have God to send you peace over that. Have God to show you the importance of that connection, because he's showing you that, sometimes we have to walk in twos with other people in order to become better people for ourselves. And sometimes we have to go home to our village. Even, everybody has, I ain't going to say everybody, majority of people I know has had a point in their life where they walked away from their village. They walked away from their family for whatever reason. And had gotten to the point where they wanted to come back. Like they miss certain people. Like, well, I don't miss this person, but I really do miss this person. But they felt like they couldn't go back because of that person or whatever. They felt like it was hard to back to their village. But even in my family, when I was away I went through it. When I moved away from my family, I went through a phase where I felt like I couldn't go back home because I had been gone for so long. I felt like they wouldn't want me back. I wouldn't be missed. I would probably annoy people by being there because I've changed so much. But never once did I go back and not be embraced. Never once did I saw other family members come back that had been gone, despite how they left. They never came back and not be embraced with love. That's a form of fear. Sometimes fear can paralyze you, and especially the fear that's in your mind. It can paralyze you to the point to where you feel the need, you feel the discernment to go back, but you like, no, because you keep thinking about what happened when you left and not about what has happened since you've been gone. And so I know how hard it can be, but really, really, really dig deep and allow God to guide you on this, because that was very powerful for me today to see the connection between one person sharpening another. Like that rings so strong in my mindset, because we are all out here trying to be better people, be better versions of ourselves. And a lot of times, this world will make you feel like you have to step on somebody in order to get ahead. But instead of stepping on people, let's use each other as anchors. Let's stable ourselves. Let's position ourselves in a comfortable, sturdy foundation. So when you step on them, you have the strength to pull them up, and then you climb that ladder together. But don't make it to the point to where you feel like you're using that person in a way that's malicious. Your heart has to be pure when you're on this journey, because all it's going to do is bring you closer to God. If you're doing it the right way, if you're connecting in the right way, it's going to bring you closer to God. And for those of you out there who feel like you don't have nobody, you don't have friends, you don't have family members, you go to work, but you don't really know anybody at work, just take a minute, allow God, speak to God about it, and let Him show you who your village is. Because I assure you, everybody has a village, because it's strength in numbers. The Bible say, when two or more gather in my name, so He's prepared us to gather in His name in midst of more than just one. Now there are times also, like I mentioned, there are times when He will isolate you. He will have you work by yourself. He will pull you away and say, I need you over here. I got to do some work on you, and you can only you can do this. Only you can go through this. So He will sometimes isolate you, but that's not permanent. The isolation is only designed to allow you to be able to be molded and shaped and grow and elevate. And then you come back changed. And like I said, when God changes you, it's a permanent change. So when you come back changed, they recognize it and they acknowledge it. And you will, at that point, realize the work that God has done in you is good, and it's done. And so this was a really good read for me. I really am happy that He showed me this and that I'm able to share it with you guys, because there's nothing more better than teamwork. I'm always a team player. I always say teamwork makes the dream work. That slogan goes, that saying just always in my head. But sometimes when we get in the midst of a team, if we can't find our placing, if we can't find our footing, we immediately think that team's not for us. We immediately say, okay, I gotta remove myself. This ain't for me. Now they don't think like I think. They don't do like. Well, before you do that, go to God. Say, Lord, where's my place in this? I'm here. If you've placed me here, show me the way. And if you meant to be there, He'll show you exactly what you're supposed to be and how you are associated with that group that you're in. And if you're not supposed to be there, He'll also show you that. He'll show you where to maneuver and where your new village is. But just know that don't get in the habit of being alone, don't get in the habit of being isolated. It is a part of making you who you are, finding out who God created you to be, but so is a village. So there's a combination there. And the minute you're able to accept that, open your mind up and allow that to be and receive that word from God, He'll be able to do even more wonders in your life. And, just even sitting here now, I'm still contemplating and going through my mind about all the different villages God has sent me to and sent me through, and all the people He's connected me with, and the changes that they helped me make, the growth that I've had gotten from those. And then I'm also reminded of Jesus when He went out, how often He would stray from His disciples. He was with His disciples, that was His village. But there were times He would stray away from them in isolation in order to hear God stronger, in order to restore His strength, in order to come back as, the one who was leading. So that let me know, like, yeah, there are times when we're going to be isolated, we're going to grow, God's going to strengthen us, but then He brings us back to the village. He brings us back to those, because He's sharpened us up. Now we get to sharpen others up, and it's just a vice versa. Now, if you're in a position to where you feel like you're just giving, and your knife is getting dull, you've ran out, you got to reevaluate that. You have to go to God and say, Lord, okay, what's going on here? Make sure that you're in the right place. Seek God. Look for Him in everything that you do. And make sure that you are on the path that He's placed you on, and you are in the right environment. Like she mentioned, being in the right place, being around the right people for your growth. And growth is not always about you being the one to be pulled up. Sometimes part of growth is you pulling someone up. Somebody told me once that you should have people that you help and those that help you. So it's like, there's always this elevation of growth, you know, but you can't always be the one being pulled up all the time, and you can't always be the one doing the pulling. There has to be a level of balance, and that is really key to being able to understand how to help grow God's kingdom, how to build a better relationship with God. Because if we are able to strengthen one another, if we are able to be able to transition ourselves to where we're in a position to where we're helping others, and then when the time comes, those people are able to transition to help us, that just grows God's kingdom, because it allows more people to be around to be a witness to your testimony of growth. It allows you to be around to be a witness to their testimony of growth. It gives you more solid foundation for your faith, to build your faith, and to share with others what God can do. And the more you share God's word, the more you share the love and the compassion that He has amongst your fellowship, amongst your village, amongst the people that you're around, and you spread that beyond your circle, it's growing His kingdom, and that's the goal. That's what we're here for. We're here to get to know God. You want to have a relationship with God. You want to be able to know who He is and what His purpose is for you, and what the ultimate goal is for all those around us. That's how it starts. It starts with you being in a position to be able to allow God to shape you, to sharpen you, and then to be able to be in a village of people that do the same thing. So you're seeing God work. And it was something she said so good. She said you should be able to go through your day to day and be able to recognize God's presence, even if He ain't working in your life per se in that very moment. You should be so close to God that you can feel His presence in those lives around you, or the people that you see, or the thing that you're doing every day. I thought that was just so beautiful, because that is so true. God's presence you should be able to feel His presence at all times. I don't care if you're at work, you driving the car. I don't care if you're in a grocery store. You should be able, when you are wanting to have a relationship, or feel God's presence, you should be able to see it very closely in the areas that you dwell in. And having that village, being able to be around other people, being able to allow yourself to be sharpened and molded in a way that keeps you alert and keeps you focused on Christ is the perfect way to go about doing it. I really hope this bless you all. I really hope that you're able to understand what I'm saying because I'm so excited. I don't know if I'm just talking in circles, but I really do hope this bless you. So go out and be sharpened. Allow God to put someone in your life. Allow God to put you in a village to where you can be sharpened and you can grow and you can be rewarded when you come out of your self growth. Y'all have a blessed day.